Welcome to another live sports static show. It's going to be a good one today, guys. We got a lot of stuff to talk about with this preseason football, so we're going to get right on to it. Welcome. Another preseason game I know a lot of you don't care much about, but it does give us a chance, especially if you're going to be betting some money on a couple of those first games. Joe, you know what I'm talking about when we're talking about betting some loot.
I completely agree, John. Good to be back.
Yep, it's time to watch some football, talk some football. A lot of games that I could really care less about, to be honest with you, because you barely get a chance to see some of the stars that we know we're going to see. But the thing about it is, when you get to see the second string guys, you may very well, Joe, be seeing these guys in real-time NFL work. You always go halfway through the season, you're not dealing with the same teams you started with a lot of time.
I completely agree. We have to look at the handcuffs here. The second string is really important because there are a lot of injuries.
And that is pretty much what happened in the start of last season with a couple teams. Now, when we talked about that a little bit last week, Joe, we were talking about the Eagles and your buddy Carson Wentz. Now I see that they pulled off McCown off the couch because they're scared. They're scared right now.
They're scared. The question is, can Carson Wentz last the full season with the Eagles? What do you think?
No. He cannot last a full season. The guy's got knee problems. He's got back problems. I got back problems. If I try to go pull some weeds outside, I'm down the next day, I said.
That's hilarious, John. Thank God I don't have that yet, but we'll see how McCown can do.
Well, it's not only McCown that a lot of teams are worried about. Look what happened last year to the Redskins. And you look at what happened to the Redskins. I mean, that was catastrophic to the Redskins last year. So there's a lot of big questions when you're looking at those second-string guys. I mean, look at the Colts right now. We don't, again, know if Andrew Luck's going to be there, but luckily the backup quarterback for the Colts showed some quality football play yesterday.
Toby Brissett is looking great. Honestly, if Andrew Luck can't go, I'm actually really excited to watch Toby Brissett play, and I think he may make the playoffs.
That's a pretty bold statement you got there, pal. You thinking they can make it to the playoffs without Andrew Luck?
Right, I believe Andrew Luck is going to get injured.
You do?
I do believe that he's going to.
Oh!
He's going to come into the season and going to lead them to the playoffs. What do you think, John?
I think that's a bold prediction. I think Andrew Luck is a mule. Yeah. He is a mule. And I think what Andrew Luck is not trusting so much of the old school football, here, let's put some tape on it and send you back out there. He's protecting a longevity of a career, and he's very cautious about his body. But he is a mule. That dude is no joke. He'll be out there and make it through the season. He's a brute, and I believe he's a Pro Bowl football player, is what I believe. I think he's a future Hall of Famer if he stays healthy. That's what I think about Andrew Luck, and so I think it's Andrew Luck that takes the Colts into the playoffs, potentially deep into the playoffs.
Right. If Andrew Luck stays healthy, I believe they go deep into the playoffs. If it's Jacoby Brissett, it's definitely a first-round knockout. But, Jacoby Brissett is going to be a good quarterback. Andrew Luck's definitely a top 5 quarterback.
Wow, I like that. A lot of people won't say that about Andrew Luck. They're looking the wrong direction. But remember, the prospect that he was good enough to trade one of the best quarterbacks that ever has put on a football jersey in the quarterback position, and they sent Peyton Manning away because they were looking at, what does that say for Andrew Luck right there?
It just shows how good Andrew Luck actually is and how much Jacoby Brissett believes in Andrew Luck. I believe in him. You know?
I mean, I think he's a brute. I think he's a mule. I think he's got a great arm. enthusiasm. I think he's got a great attitude. He can throw an interception and forget about it by the time he makes it off the field. Great attitude. Smart guy, okay? But he just has a great attitude, and I think that's where you can see his success. He doesn't – he can throw the ball away, have a bad series out there, shake it off, and get back in there and make great things happen again. So he's got a short-term memory when it comes to bad plays, and to me, that's one of the qualities you need to succeed in the NFL as a quarterback. You got to have short-term memory of those interceptions that you throw.
Exactly right, John. And I know you just hit on Andrew Luck, but what do you think about Aaron Rodgers this year with that one?
All right, so this is interesting because all the drama, and first of all, there was some drama in the NFL last year, was there not?
There was a ton of drama with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. Are they going to play this year? A lot of drama this year.
The Browns. You always got drama with the Cowboys. A little bit of drama that was going on in the Patriots, but man, there was some drama last year, was there not?
Right, it was very entertaining.
Okay, so you come to that drama into Green Bay, which escalated enough. The coach was gone in season, gone. And a lot of people put that on the weight of Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Well, John, is that fair? Because to me, I don't personally believe it is.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not in that locker room, so is it fair? Is he that much of a control freak? And again, you know the rumors. Joe, we've talked about this a little bit before the show, that sometimes, he's out there changing plays and flying by the seat of his pants when you got these coaches that are working triple overtime hours to put these design plays into action, and he's going up there and changing the damn play.
Right. But guys, it's Aaron Rodgers. You see the defense. He makes correct adjustments, makes those audibles. I think he's doing the right thing. I don't think
But does he?
yes.
Okay, so that's the thing is now what we get a chance to see when we talk about this is, what do I think about this Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers? Well, I think that first and foremost, you've got a new coach with a veteran with a huge ego, okay? They say that Aaron Rodgers thinks he's smarter than everybody else. He might be. So you get a young coach with a veteran quarterback. If it doesn't go well in the beginning, that's what we're going to want to see. Green Bay's got to come out. And Joe, I tell you what I'm going to do here in a minute is I got to be honest, guys. Call me a slacker if you will. I have not looked at the football schedule. And as we get into the weeks here, obviously I'm going to look at it because I'm going to make my predictions. Joe's going to make his prediction. We're going to predict what we think is going to happen here. So obviously we have to look at the schedule to see. And I'm going to pull it up here shortly to look at it. But I'm really curious, Joe, to see those first 4 games. I always look at those first 4 as something that actually can make or break a lot of teams. We've seen some teams come out and go 0-4 and make it to the playoffs.
We have seen it before, and just to they're in the toughest division. The Packers are in one of the toughest divisions, so we're going to see how it goes. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good season this year.
Well, I mean, he's got the capabilities when it comes to talent to have that. Of course, he's got to be protected. You don't want Aaron Rodgers coming out and getting knocked on the ground and having another injury that could end up being career-ending. So protection's first and foremost. Their defense supposedly is going to be pretty good this year. So when you can keep the points off of the board and you got a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, yeah, it's looking pretty good. In the division that they're in, I mean, really, you look at the division they're in, they're going to have to make it through those Chicago Bears. The Vikings. I mean, this division is no joke right now. If you're just, and Detroit Lions let me down last year, Joe. I thought they might have went to the playoffs because I'm looking at it going, look at this. They get this defensive coach, a defensive head coach, from the pedigree of the New England Patriots Bill Belichick system. And I'm thinking, hey, if you can keep the points off the board and you're Detroit, they let me down. So I'm not going to put them in the mix in the fight of this, but their defense, Detroit, not to go off topic here, is supposed to be pretty good this year, like in the top 10 projection. So, that division, let's look at it right there, that division. The Packers, the Bears, the Vikings, the Lions. That's looking tough.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of people just, they don't look at the Lions. I think the Lions are definitely rebuilding. I think their defense is going to be probably definitely top 10. And Zay Johnson looks good. But, John, what do you think about Matthew Stafford?
I think Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. And I always have thought Matthew Stafford was a great quarterback, and he's a durable quarterback. He had an injury early on in his year, and over the last 8 years or whatever, this guy's a durable quarterback, and he's taken a lot of shots. But I think he's got a great arm. He's just been on the wrong team. Now, if you were to say this to some Detroit fans, which I know and talk to on a regular basis, they would disagree with you and say, get this guy the hell out of here. But it's the organization where the problem is. Detroit Lions, the problem with the Detroit Lions is organization. And I said this before on my show. I will tell you this. I personally had spoken with a head coach from the Detroit Lions back in the Barry Sanders era, who told me a quarterback called him on the phone and said he wanted to play with Barry Sanders. He brought it to the front office, and the front office wouldn't pay him. So instead, this quarterback, Hall of Fame pedigree, finished his career with the Kansas City Chiefs. And man, would have I loved to have seen Joe Montana under the center with Barry Sanders behind him. But instead, we had crybaby Scott Mitchell over there. It was horrible, Joe. Horrible, I said.
I would have loved to see that also. And Lions fans coming up, Kerryon Johnson is a really up-and-coming running back, so I definitely want to take a look at that. But Lions rebuilding here, so we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be interesting. So I am looking now at the regular season that's going to kick off. The first game, here you go, Joe, we're talking about this right now. The first game for the Packers. Joe, the first game for the Packers. You ready for this? The Bears.
Wow.
In Chicago. So you see what I'm saying? That first week, Joe, they're playing the Bears, who are supposed to projected to have the best defense.
Hey, bold prediction. The Packers get that win.
Wow. Wow.
Aaron Rodgers wants to make a statement this year. He goes out and beats the best defense in the NFL.
Wow. We're talking about Mac.
We are talking about Khalil Mack, but we're also talking about the baddest man in the NFL, and that's Aaron Rodgers.
Now, see, I didn't know this. That your favorite quarterback and who you think is the most talented one is Aaron Rodgers.
I do believe it is Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers. I think, right now, I like him better than Brady. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL.
Well, he's got the youth.
I like
Better than
better than Mahomes. I think Aaron Rodgers is. Patrick Mahomes can be better than Rodgers, but it's not proven yet. So I have to put Aaron Rodgers number one. You guys, do you not agree?
I had to take a moment of silence there, Joe. Mahomes proved himself last year with the rookie records. I mean, the guy's touchdown that he threw. I mean, he threw more touchdown than the veterans. Okay, I mean the guy is incredible. But I'm not so sure we have the Aaron Rodgers of 5 years ago. I'm not sure. I think he's 37. Is he?
Okay, well, guys, look, I still believe Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Gotcha.
Mahomes is not proven yet. Look at Patrick Mahomes' offense, too. Look at Aaron Rodgers, what he's working with. He's not working with
And I agree. I agree with that.
So talent-wise, Aaron Rodgers is the most talented. Patrick Mahomes is right up there. So in the NFL.
I agree with that. So first and foremost, with everything that you just said, Joe, I don't know how to say this to you, and I have to apologize before I even do it, but we don't have our producer in the studio today. Dave, we miss you deeply. Joe, your mic has been off the entire show. Ouch.
That's funny.
So, I mean, that was some valuable information that you were giving us, and your mic's been off the entire show.
Well, I hope you guys can hear me now.
Yeah,
And what I've
and-
been saying is Aaron Rodgers is the baddest man in the NFL.
I mean, wow, that just hurt. And having the mic off like that was detrimental to the program. But you guys, look, I will go ahead and we'll start right back with what we're talking about, where Joe is talking about the success this year with the Green Bay Packers. And Joe, you made a bold prediction, and I'll let you go ahead and repeat. The first week of the season for the Packers with the new head coach and your, what you say, favorite quarterback and most talented quarterback, that in Mr. Rodgers, you're making a bold prediction here.
Hey, guys, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are going to go in week one and beat the Chicago Bears. And Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur are going to make a statement that this is going to be, the Green Bay Packers are a good offense.
I get they're a good offense, but you face a good defense, and a good offense can look horrible. And that's what I mean. If you got a good offense, you're facing a potential number one defense. You got to be great. So we're going to find out, and that's a bold prediction. It is a bold prediction.
Yeah, it is a bold prediction, but this is who I think is going to show up. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be great, and I think Jimmy Graham is going to have a good season this year, a way better season than last year. So, yes, I have the Green Bay Packers winning.
Okay, and I mean, that's a bold prediction. I'm not going into mine yet, but we'll see if you change your mind when we get into that regular season game. It's a Thursday game. They actually will play the very first game of the 2019 season. That's a Thursday game on NBC at 8:20 p.m. The Packers go into the Windy City in Chicago for the 8:20 p.m. game. So that'll be interesting, and we'll see. Because if you stick with that, I think we might go ahead and put some sort of a thing on there to where you may want to go ahead and put maybe some 10 hot wings on the line when it comes to that game.
Hey, I would love to win some 10 hot wings if I get this prediction right.
Okay, well, that could potentially be what happens. Hey, since we're talking about that, and we're talking about, obviously, guys, you missed a lot of what was going on, and I apologize for that. We have our main producer, because it's preseason, out of the studio today, and we won't let that happen during regular season. But this is our preseason as well. So the audio problem in the beginning, I will take the blame for that. Since we're talking about the first week on the schedule, let me run through some quick things here for you, Joe, as far as the games. And you can go ahead, Joe, and you can say, hey, little something about what you think about these matchups. So, Joe, the Sunday, after that Thursday night game, Sunday kicks off with the 1 o'clock games. You got the Rams at the Panthers.
Ooh, the Rams at the Panthers. I definitely have the Rams winning this one.
Yeah, the poor Panthers, huh?
Yeah, what do you think about Cam Newton, John?
I think Cam Newton needs to trim out the attitude a little bit. When Cam Newton is doing great, He wants to dance. He wants to do everything he does when he's doing poor. He doesn't want to give an interview. He doesn't want to do nothing. I think that, as I talked about earlier on the show, is what I see in Andrew Luck is that short-term memory when it comes to bad things. You live to play another down. You live to play another series. You live to play next Sunday sometimes, unless it's playoff football. So I just think that Cam Newton, I'm looking for him to be a little bit better leader in that aspect. Pick that team up when they need to be picked up. Don't go on the sideline and put a towel over your head. They got a great smile, Cam Newton. I'll give you that. You could definitely have a career working for a toothpaste promoter.
That's funny. Yeah, and also, guys, Cam Newton's coming off a shoulder injury, so we definitely have to see how he's going to do this year. I still think Panthers are actually going to be last in their division this year.
And you got the Redskins are at the Eagles. Carson Wentz, we're going to get a chance to see him against the Redskins, and the Redskins are supposed to have a pretty good defense this year. But you've got the Redskins going into the Eagles, also week 1. Joe, I know you like the Eagles and Carson Wentz. Not so sure you like the Eagles, but I know you like Carson Wentz as a quarterback.
I do. I really like Carson Wentz. I think the Eagles win this game. Carson Wentz, I think he's going to have a breakthrough season this year, and they're going to make a playoff push. But the Redskins, guys, well, let's talk about Dwayne Haskins. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. He just has to minimize his mistakes. What do you think, John?
I mean, I just don't – I think if they're smart, to tell you the truth, I think he sits. Follows the Patrick Mahomes thing and sits and learns from that sideline. If you can watch some veterans and watch these mistakes happen without you making them, you can sit there on the sideline with your headphones on, next to the head coach, next to the offensive coordinator, and you're plugged in that way. You're getting some good reps in practice. I think it's better if you're looking at this guy as your future to let this guy develop fully mentally with the NFL. And there's no sense, I don't see any sense unless you think right now that he puts you into that Super Bowl hopes, the playoff caliber team immediately right now that you plug him in. If you don't think you have that team and you're still building for that team right now to win your division, for the playoff hopes, the Super Bowl hopes, I don't think you put him in there.
You know what, John? I think that is the smart decision, but I believe we see him in this regular season.
And we very well could, Joe, because look what happened to them last year.
Right, that big injury. That was
not just him, McCoy.
And McCoy. Yep.
2 breaks in legs. That is the craziest thing, and it's rare to see something like that happen to your starting quarterback and your backup quarterback.
Very rare, but that's why I think we do see Dwayne Haskins this year.
So, Joe, here's a little chance for you to now reiterate some of the things you talked about. The Bills are at the Jets week 1.
Right. This game is going to be so fun to watch, basically because of Le'Veon Bell and also the Bills' defense. You know, I was saying that the Bills weren't going to be that great this year. I did some research. Bills have a top 10 defense. Tre'Davious White, Tremaine Edwards. I think they do pretty well this year. We see what Josh Allen's going to do. What do you think, John?
I mean, the thing about it is, and you know I said this in our first preseason show, is I'm old school in the sense I know they say this is an offensive league now. They like seeing these balls thrown 50 times in a game, but I'm old school enough to know that won't live long when you face a team that's built a defense. And what is lacking in those defenses and what has happened is that when you got the highly motivated coaches for offense and putting this offensive machine together, you're getting these guys that want to play receiver and everything. This starts at college level, Joe. Okay. They have the defensive backs who cannot defend these 6'2", 6'3", 230-pound receivers. They can't go up and get the ball like these guys do. This starts in the college ranks of taking these 6'3", 6'4" guys and knowing they've got the 4.4 speed, knowing that they can play defense, and having these DBs as monsters. And that is when the game changes back to defense wins games. When you're going to be going up against a linebacker that's playing DB. I mean, essentially, we've seen these guys before. But I believe it's a defensive game. You're telling me the Bills are a top 10 defense. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So then it comes down to what we talked about last week. The Trent Dilfer thing I call. Okay? You don't have to be the best or the greatest or a grade A quarterback to win a Super Bowl, Joe. What do you need?
You definitely need a defense.
Because if you can stop points and score a little,
You can
right?
win. Right, you can win. But guys, we're talking about the Bills and the Jets. They're in the Patriots division. That division's already locked up.
The division is locked up if
If Tom Brady stays healthy.
and that's true. But even if Tom Brady doesn't stay healthy, I've said this from day one and I still believe it. It's the system. We've seen Castle as a backup quarterback to Tom Brady years ago win games under the same system and then go on to get a big contract where he went out of the system and didn't win and didn't succeed in the NFL. We've seen Garoppolo played 5 games in the Patriots, winning football under the system and got an enormous, amazing, biggest contract any quarterback's ever seen starting 5 games. How does that happen? Was in the system and he looked great in that system. I think he threw like 5 interceptions or something since then, his last outings. But Garoppolo isn't going to work. I'll say it. I believe that Garoppolo was successful in the system. So if Tom Brady goes down, they still win.
I completely agree. We've seen it time and time again. This is definitely a system. Tom Brady and Belichick play off each other, and any quarterback in this system is going to win.
I'm not saying Tom Brady is not the GOAT. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that at Tom Brady's age right now, going into a different system, he wouldn't have the success that he'd be having there. I mean, it's as simple as that. But I believe Tom Brady is the best at nickel and diming you all the way down the field. I believe he's the best at that.
Yeah, I agree. I believe Brady is the GOAT. I believe he's the greatest of all time. But I believe Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, and John, I want to ask you a question. Do you think this is Brady's last year? Because we looked at that contract. He could leave after this year.
Brady's not going anywhere. Brady is not going anywhere. I said that last year, and I was saying it because I thought last year was the year that we saw the drama happen in New England, and it was based on several things. Tom Brady's trainer was banned from the locker room. The Garoppolo thing everybody was talking about, the Belichick Brady thing it was touchy. You had players talking about the fact that Belichick benched Butler, their best defensive back, and lost the Super Bowl because of it, and then gave zero explanation to media and players. Mark gave us the best chance to win the football game. That's what he tried to say. No, you did not give your team the best chance to win a football game. If you wanted to make a point with a guy, okay, you don't make the point at the Super Bowl, I said. That arrogance of saying it is the system only kind of cost him a Super Bowl, I believe. So, Brady, I thought last year what was going to happen is just like we seen some of the other greats, was we seen it with Brett Favre. We seen it with Peyton Manning. You might see it with Eli. We saw it with Peyton Manning and the great. These are all Hall of Famers I'm talking about, by the way. Joe Montana. Okay, we saw it with them. They weren't done, but the team was, and they had to take advantage of the opportunity of the player that was going to replace this person in a couple years, but they had to get him now. Why? Because they're paying him now. This is wasted time sitting there with this guy that's going to replace him, where they believe they can do the same or better with him and that he's the future. So I thought last year, Joe, that the locker room would fall apart. Look what happened. Look what happened.
Right, look what happened. They won the Super Bowl, and you have Josh Gordon getting reinstated, so that really helps the offense. You have Demaryius Thomas, and they also picked up another tight end. That offense is good, and that defense is solid, so I think they make another Super Bowl run.
Man, I hope Gordon can put his stuff together and finish an NFL season and be a Pro Bowler like he was bred to be. I mean, come on now. I know you want to smoke a little gunge, but if it's against the rules, it's against the rules. I mean, maybe you should be doing some off-field work so you can help to change these rules if you're taking the gunge because, of injuries or what have you, anxiety. I don't know, okay? But what I do know is no matter what you're doing, if it's illegal and causing suspensions, you can't do it. So I just hope he pulls it together. What a great talent. And to think that he doesn't get it. Now, one thing he is getting, just as not as much as he could have, he does get money. He does get paid. But this guy's career could have been just outstanding. He's that good of a talent. But here he comes again, reinstated. A deep threat. I mean, he's a deep threat. He can go in the middle and get the ball too. So having the defense they have and looking like they're putting this offense together pretty damn good here. How can you not think that the New England Patriots 15 years in a row win their division?
Right. I completely agree. They definitely win their division this year. Josh Gordon, I think the Patriots... last year we definitely thought that organization was going to change Josh Gordon around. I think this year Josh Gordon, stays the whole year, doesn't get suspended or anything, and they have another Super Bowl run. Exactly what I said.
I like to see Gordon stay healthy. Okay, I'm done seeing the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. I'm bored by it, so I'm done with that experiment. Done with it. I mean. Hats off to a Super Bowl winner every year, no matter who it is. It's understandable, even from the fans' perspective, if you follow the game, it's very understandable what it takes for a team to get to the Super Bowl, let alone pull off the win. So hats off, much respect to any team that can make it to a Super Bowl and then win like they have. So I got utmost respect for them.
So do I, but, they should have lost to the Chiefs last year, and that's what's going to happen this year, I believe.
Wow, you're coming with some early bold predictions. I like it.
Got to get the bold predictions out today, John.
I like it. What do you think about the Falcons?
Well, the Falcons, I've been saying that they were injured last year, and I think their defense comes back all healthy this year. Well, they are going to come back all healthy. I think Matt Ryan has a great season with Julio Jones. Julio Jones is going to probably lead the league in receiving yards again, but they're going to not win the division. I still think the Saints are going to win the division. I think they're going to come in second.
So you're basically thinking the Saints win the division and potential for the Falcons to get away with a wild card.
Yeah, I mean, guys, 2 years ago they were in the Super Bowl, or 3 years. Yeah, so we have to definitely take that into account, and I definitely believe they get a wild card this year.
Very good possibility. Their hands are full, however, right away, because that first week they're going into Minnesota to play the Vikings. And there's a lot of talk with the Vikings, and their defense is ranked in the top 10 as well. And that's kind of scary. So right away, Matty Ice is going to be put to the test the very first week.
Right, they are. Look at the Vikings defense. Harrison Smith is a 4-time Pro Bowler. You have Anthony Barr in the middle playing linebacker. Everson Griffin's coming back healthy. The Vikings are going to make a push, and the Vikings are another sleeper that I was talking about last podcast. And Yeah, I think the Vikings win this game, to be honest.
Okay, I mean, and I would say the same thing, but I'm not going to go there yet. My predictions are going to come the morning of, because anything can happen, and mine will be the morning of. But I think I do give away a lot of hints in where I'm going with that. For the Ravens, we talked about this off air a little bit, and with the Ravens, I really don't believe Jackson is going to have a success if he is legs first, the RO, the run option. I don't think that he will have success through an entire season if he's thinking legs first. Defenses are too fast these days. I know he's an amazing athlete. He's a great talent. But defenses have and will figure him out and plan accordingly. And when they do that, just like they did at the end of last year, they'll sit on you and make you beat them with the arm. And that's what they'll do. They'll say, he's not going to beat us with his feet. So they'll sit on you. And when they do that and force you to win the game with your arm, that's when we're going to see, Joe, what's up with them.
Well, it's hard to disagree with that statement, but if we look at the statistics, the Baltimore Ravens are the number one rush offense in the league. So they're mainly a rush team. So I think if Lamar Jackson implements the read option, that's going to confuse defenses. And you know what? I think they're going to be pretty successful this year, to be honest.
Well, they got a great defense.
Yeah, they do have a great defense. I think the offensive schemes they're going to implement is going to probably confuse defenses, and they might make it to the playoffs. I'm not saying they will, but they might.
Well, their first week is good for them because they're facing the Dolphins.
Well, that's an easy win.
You're thinking the Dolphins are going to be one of the worst teams this year.
Oh, no doubt. We were talking about it last podcast. Josh Rosen, we don't know what's wrong with him, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, Miami Dolphins are going to be definitely at the lower end of the league this year.
How about the good matchup on this one right here? And we get a chance to see some action right away with what I think is playoff potential teams. You've got the Kansas City Chiefs going into the Jaguars. Now, the Jags are supposed to have another great defense, but now they've got Nick Foles at the helm. And I'll tell you what, this is going to be an exciting first week game because you're getting a chance to see the Patrick Mahomes, okay? After last year, everybody's excited to see what this offense is going to look like again. Of course, we're hoping they improve their defense a little bit, okay? But you're coming in with Patrick Mahomes going up against that Jaguar defense who added something to their offense in a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Nick Foles. What do you think about that game?
Wow. Nick Foles definitely relieves a ton of pressure off that defense. That defense is going to be top 5 in the NFL, no doubt. A.J. Bouye, Jalen Ramsey on the corners. You got Calais Campbell in the middle. The thing that really hurt the Jaguars, Telvin Smith left. But, they got some good rookies. And Jaguars are going to be definitely a great defense. And Nick Foles is going to definitely put that team over the top.
I mean, I'm looking real forward to it. It's one of them things where I strongly believe, as we said, defense wins games. When you're facing somebody like a Patrick Mahomes, it's a total different story because I've never seen anybody like him as far as when he's rolling out. When they chase him out of the pocket, his quarterback rating goes up dramatically. And that's a scary thing because he can throw in the pocket. You chase him out of the pocket. At the end of last year, they were scheming the defenses, scheming to keep him in the pocket because his QBR went up when he rolled out of the pocket. And they're like, he hurts us worse when he rolls out. This guy can throw on the run sidearm like he's playing second base and flipping the ball over to first. I mean, the guy has a sidearm that's just perfect tight spiral. So scary, scary, scary. So I can't just rely on a defense to dominate and control the points when you're facing someone like Patrick Mahomes.
Well, you know, a guy and Patrick Mahomes is amazing. And how amazing he is. Actually, the Kansas City defense really isn't that good. If you look at the statistics, they're at the lower end of the league. You know, they give up a lot of yards.
They
do.
do.
If Nick Foles can, you know, pretty much beat that defense, I think Jacksonville has a good chance of winning that game.
I completely agree with you on that. And guys, I want to go ahead and take a moment here to let you know, because I want you guys to be caught up to speed when the regular season happens. You guys can be part of the show, and we will be taking calls. We're not doing it on the preseason games, but you guys that followed us last year know we had calls throughout the show. And to do that, you're going to go to the leapalive.com. And Leap Alive, just to let you know right now, is the network we're using. It is the host of this show, Leap Alive. They host live shows, live broadcasts. So if you go to that leapalive.com/register, you'll be able to register for the show. And once you register, you're given the phone number to call in. We encourage you to do that, because then you're part of the show. And you know what we say, this show is from the fans, that's you. Back to the fans, that's us. And then back out at you to the fans. Every time we have an episode, you can catch that episode at leapalive.com. The very last episode we did will stay there on the leapalive.com page. It'll stay there until the next broadcast. So you can always catch it there. Of course, if you're watching us now on YouTube, hopefully you're hitting the subscribe button. And you're subscribing because there's a lot of good things that are getting ready to come your way. Not just football, I may add. Not just football. So pay attention to that stuff. Moving right back into some of these games right here. How would you like to be the Tennessee Titans traveling to Cleveland your first week of the NFL season? Mariota, I hope you're ready for this. They got a great defense and an enthusiastic offense. But the Browns, first game of the NFL season, they're hosting the Titans.
Yeah, I hope Mariota shows up, because everyone in the NFL is going to be watching this game. Mariota pretty much has the same fate as Jameis. You know, they came into the league at the same time, both having, you know, not down years, and this is a really big year for Marcus Mariota. Big year for Baker Mayfield, Odell. We have a lot going on in this game, and I'm excited to see what happens. What do you think, John?
It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a really fun game. And you're right, with Tennessee, and a big year for Mariota to really say, okay, because this is the year right here where you're playing for your contract money. Is really what's happening. Because next year, you're a free agent, okay? So same thing with Jameis. This is the year these guys who came out, both of them came out the same year. A lot of people were saying the Bucs should have taken Mariota and vice versa. But so big year for them. There is a lot for Tennessee in this game to start off strong, and no better way to start off strong as you go into Cleveland and get a win. I don't really see that happening, but hey. So how about, we talked earlier, which nobody probably heard, we talked about the Colts and Andrew Luck and whether he's ready to go, and I think he's a brute. But I'll tell you this, Andrew Luck, if he starts week 1, is going into the Chargers. The Chargers are hosting the Colts week 1. And the Chargers, you said it earlier, Joe, how come nobody's talking about the Chargers? Well, at least over here on the East Coast.
Yeah, no one's really talking about the Chargers. We did do sleeper picks last podcast. I forgot about the Chargers. They're a sleeper this year. I think they have a great defense. Derwin James just got injured. He'll be out for 4 weeks. But once he comes back, they have Joey Bosa healthy. I think that defense is going to be really good. Chargers make a playoff push.
Chargers will make a playoff push.
Definitely.
I'm with you on that.
Definitely.
I like Rivers as a quarterback. I just think it's the whole package, the whole team. Sometimes it just seems like you got Rivers, and he's got this whole load on his shoulders. I think he really reminds me of Dan Marino. He really does. He's got that quick release. He puts the ball there, man. I mean, he really does, man. I like Rivers. I was really hoping for something better for them last year just because I think he's that quality quarterback that's flirting with the outcome that we've seen some greats flirt with, including Dan Marino, where you get this great quarterback that never went to the promised land. And they grade people that way. But I don't necessarily grade Hall of Fame quarterbacks or running backs that way. I don't. Or I wouldn't be thinking that Barry Sanders was the best running back of all time, and I really do. Second to Walter Payton and sweetness. And then my third would be Jim Brown. But I know that will offend some people, but that's my order and the way that it goes. Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Jim Brown. I know people would say, well, what about Emmitt Smith? I think he was good, but I don't put him in the caliber of those guys. I just don't. And maybe that's part of the entertainment factor I get out of watching those guys run. Pure entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great list to be a part of. I'm sure Melvin Gordon wants to be a part of that list. And Melvin Gordon, you know, he's coming up. He's been a great running back. Last year he was a great running back, so we'll see how he does this year. And with him at the helm, I think Chargers make a great push.
We're going to skip a little bit ahead here on some of these games here because I want to talk about, we're in Tampa Bay, obviously, and I want to talk about those Buccaneers who host the 49ers week 1. I know you're a Jameis. You like Jameis, and you've got a lot of promise coming out of this. You're thinking that this is the year with Jameis. He's got the new head coach, the quarterback whisperer. Talk to me about the 49ers coming in here and what they can expect.
Guys, you know, as you guys know, I'm a huge Bucs fan. I love the Bucs, and I think they're going to have a great year this year. I really think they're going to have a good year this year, primarily because Jameis last year was suspended. He's not suspended. If you look at those preseason, you know, snaps, yesterday he rolled out. He didn't throw the ball away, and he ran for like 20 yards, where last year he probably would have thrown an interception. So I think the mistakes are going to be minimized, and the Bucs are going to beat the 49ers. That's what I believe.
I mean, I would like to say, yeah, the Bucs are going to beat the 49ers. I would like to say that. But I can't say that. And the reason why I can't say that, because I don't know what Jameis Winston with the new Bruce Arians system here is going to do when it's a tight game and he gets in the red zone. I have to see that to see who we have, because Jameis gets in the red zone. As we get closer to the season opening, guys, I'm going to throw some amazing stats at you right from Sports Static. I'm going to throw some amazing stats at you to kind of show you where Jameis really is when you start talking about 15 fumbles, things like that in the red zone. It's concerning. I want to see the Jameis we have this year under pressure, where it's critical the decision you make if you can live to play another series and settle for a field goal or try to make the impossible possible.
Right. Yep. I completely agree. The things about the Bucs that they need to improve are red zone scoring. But the thing is, Bucs fans, we have a kicker. Like I said last podcast, he's been perfect so far. So in the red zone, at least we'll get a field goal, right?
I mean, well, will we? I mean, that depends where
funny.
Everybody's looking at you,
Yeah.
and now you've got the game on the line. There's actually 3 seconds on the play clock, enough to snap and kick, okay, and you win the game. That's when we know if we got a kicker, okay? And once again, like I love to do because he was one of my favorites, to quote the great late Stuart Scott, we're looking for a kicker in that situation that is as cool as the other side of the pillow.
I believe we have it in Tampa Bay now. I really believe we do, so we'll see what happens.
I haven't seen that since Automatica Gratica. So it's been a while since I've seen that.
Right, so we'll see.
Okay, I believe we're going to have an interesting thing going on as well. The Giants in week 1 are going into Dallas. And this is a good matchup. I always think it is. Dallas is really good. The seriousness. I know it's week 1. The seriousness of this, of Dallas at home week 1 and coming away with a win. Because we don't know if we're going to see Zeke. But it looks like Jerry Jones is saying, hey, next man up. Zeke who? I mean, really?
Yeah, we've seen it before. You know, it's kind of a system also. You have the best O-line in the NFL. You don't necessarily need, you know, the talent of Zeke. You get a decent running back in there. He's going to get you some yards. You know, Dallas is going to win that division again, I predict. And it's going to be a good game. What do you think, John?
Well, I think that you're going to have to face a quarterback in Eli Manning that is going to look much more like Tom Brady with a nickel and dime offense. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's how you utilize a veteran and keep a veteran off of the ground is by nickel and diming the team down the field. And if you got Barkley back there that are getting these little outs and he's catching the ball, the Giants are a dangerous team. They can be a very dangerous team. I'm not going to say that look out for the Dallas or the Giants in their playoff push. I'm not going to say that. They're one of those teams that can beat the best team any given day. And we seen that in the 2-time Super Bowl champion pedigree of one Eli Manning, who took out Tom Brady twice in a Super Bowl. I don't forget that.
Yeah. You know what? The Giants aren't going to be, you know, Super Bowl contenders. I do agree that Saquon Barkley is going to be good. And if you guys look at the stats of Eli Manning, he actually had a good year last year statistically, threw for over 4,000 yards, 20-plus touchdowns. He had a good year, and Saquon Barkley catches a lot of passes out of the backfield, so he's going to be a good fantasy running back.
So I guess we're going to see the test put on these Dallas Cowboys defense right away. And the Dallas Cowboy defense is ranked in the top 10. We're going to find that out right away. Now, unfortunately for Eli, you know what New York's going to be crying for if they don't come out right away and start looking good. You know what they're going to be crying for. And I'll tell you why. And I'll just take a peek real quick at it, okay? I'm going to take a peek real quick here. Because if we're going into the Giants and we really look at the Giants, and let's just take a quick look here, because what I want to see is this, because this we're talking about where you could have this quarterback controversy. Let's go in there and look, because at week 1, where we just said they're facing Dallas in Dallas. Then they host Buffalo, okay? I want to see more of this. Sorry about that, guys. So then the second week of the NFL season, they're hosting Buffalo. So Buffalo, you said it, Joe. Their defense, I mean, it could be a tough day.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is really good. Jordan Poyer, good safety, I think he had around seven interceptions last year. That defense is really good. Eli Manning's going to have trouble. I think Eli Manning is going to nickel and dime like Brady. However, I think he's going to throw way more interceptions than Brady because he does get little lackadaisical.
Well, we'll see. And here's the thing about it that's kind of good for the for the Giants, if you ask me, and to keep Jones, which I believe he should be, on the bench. Okay, sit there and watch 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback Eli and understand why he catches so much crap. You're about ready to find out right from the sideline in this NFL game stuff, because your first game is Dallas, like I mentioned, for the Giants. So Giants fans, you should be a little bit happy when you know that for your next several games what's going on here, because then you got Buffalo, okay? Then you're headed to Tampa. I know one from Tampa. Not too enthusiastic. I have to see it. I have to see it to believe it. Then you have Washington coming into the Giants. So your first 4 games, it's the 5th game where you're going ahead and you're hosting Minnesota. The week after, I'm sorry. You're not. You're not hosting. Yeah, you are. Jesus, the way they did this here, I'm trying to read this, Joe, is all messed up because they keep putting an @ sign at it. They are hosting Minnesota week 5. And then, right after that, they're in New England, and then they're hosting Arizona. So, it's week 5 and week 6. So week 1, I think, is tough for them. If they can skate away after that with a few wins, then they host Minnesota. Tough game.
Tough game, and I'll tell you what, I guarantee you, first week Eli Manning's in there, they're going to be chanting Daniel Jones' name. So,
no matter what he does?
No matter what he does. So all the pressure is going to be on Eli.
Oh, I don't believe that. I believe New York remembers when they see that Super Bowl winning pedigree champion quarterback come out and play and have success. They're going to really look at this as this may be the Cinderella story, and Eli may be able to take us out into the sunset. So it's going to be when he messes up. He's going to throw an interception. Now, I agree with you. Throws an interception, you immediately hear them chanting Jones. But if he's not doing that and he's got them winning, I don't think so.
Completely agree.
So, speaking of Arizona, what do you think about this Kyler Murray guy that had this great week that everybody talked about him, and then he comes out and he falls a little bit flat in his second preseason game?
Well, you got to take that with a grain of salt. What I really saw when Kyler Murray was out there is he's using his college offense. That's what Cliff Kingsbury is actually implementing. He's doing a clap, and a lot of refs believe that's a false start. So they definitely have to brush up on that. But I think Kyler Murray, like I said, he's going to be really good. But the Arizona Cardinals offensive line definitely has to improve. You'll see him running around a lot, but I think he's going to be good.
Well, he's going to face the Detroit Lions at home, his first real action of a regular NFL game. So we'll see what he does with the new and improved Detroit Lion defense, supposedly. So that'll be interesting. The Steelers have to play their first game at New England.
That is going to be an amazing game. I honestly can't wait to watch that game. We get to see Ben Roethlisberger, the old quarterbacks, and Tom Brady. It's going to be a great game. We get to see the Steelers defense with Devin Bush, how he's going to do. And then we get to see the new offense of the Patriots. So I think that's going to be an amazing game.
Couldn't agree with you more. I'm looking forward to that game. The Texans, Monday Night Football. First Monday Night Football. We have the Texans in the early 7-10 game going into the Saints. And the Texans, when you're looking at their little matchup there with Hopkins, who you said last show, did you not, that he's like the best receiver?
Yeah, no doubt DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver. They don't, and I also love Deshaun Watson. What do you think of Deshaun Watson?
Watson's awesome. And the thing about it is with Watson, from day one when he took the field, he looked like a veteran quarterback. So I like Watson, and it comes down if ball protection and defense stepping up for the Texans. And then, you got J.J. Watt comes and he turns into this beast again.
Yeah, if J.J. Watt turns into that monster that he's been, wow, that Texans defense is going to look great. And hey, Jadeveon Clowney, I don't know what's happening with him. Is he showing up to practice? What do you think, John?
I can't answer that. I know nothing about that, and I haven't really followed the Texans much. And I actually haven't even seen any of their preseason snaps of yet. I did see the connection between Watson and Hopkins that everybody was happy about, but I didn't see too much more of that. So I don't know. We've got the Broncos, the Donkeys, they call them in Colorado. The Donkeys, the Broncos, are going to the Raiders for week 1.
Can't we definitely have to see how Joe Flacco fits into that offense. And then the Raiders. Everyone wants to see Antonio Brown. I can't wait to see him. Can't you guys? How about you, John?
I mean, I know, and I think that the team actually, what we may not see from the outside, unless you're watching Hard Knocks, which I watch, and you get a little inside view. I really like that HBO special there, Hard Knocks. Some people say it's a little overproduced and a little cheesy, but I take it for what it is, the face value for what it is, and I like the little insights I get. What I do see and I do notice is a level of patience the coaching staff and players have for Antonio Brown, and the reason why they have that level of patience with him is because of the greatness he brings. He comes in there, doesn't miss a beat, knows the playbook, he's doing his homework, and he's dominant right when he's there the second he gets there. And you're just looking at this extraordinary talent right away. And with the feet he has and to still be able to outrun the defense, I don't know if that says a lot for Antonio Brown or if it's saying something for a poor DB. I don't know, and you hope not if you're a Raider fan. That a guy with skin peeling off the bottom of his feet can beat all of your DBs. Hopefully it's just that Antonio Brown's that great.
Yeah, I believe it is that Antonio Brown is that great. However, the Raiders defense, don't know about the DBs, but what I saw during the preseason is Josh Jacobs looks good, and on the defensive side, Cleveland Farrell looks good, and they stole Josh Allen, who looks great.
How about their rookie?
Josh Jacobs.
Guy looks incredible.
He does look incredible. So
he's got an attitude to go with it.
Yep, really like him at running back with Derek Carr.
So, the new acquisition to their let me just go ahead real quick here and flip over to this because I'm having trouble, and maybe you can help me out with their rookie defensive back number 24. Let's see here real quick if I can pull that up for you. And I know if we were right now having our fans on the show, they'd be yelling it out to me real quick. It's right there. Abram. Okay. Jonathan Abram, 6 foot, 205 pounds. Okay. Defensive back. This is what I'm talking about when you're starting to get in these 6 foot, 205 pound guys, and he will knock your mouthpiece out of your mouth. They had to settle him down in practice. I mean, very high regards from this guy when you're looking at this. First round pick, okay, coming out of Mississippi State. Look for this guy to have rookie of the year type season. The Raiders were smart to pick this guy up as a DB, and I've been watching the way he's fast on his feet. It's not that he's very aggressive, old school, very aggressive, wants to bump and run, wants contact. And so, trust me, receivers are going to pay attention to this guy early on, and so will quarterbacks. They'll know where he is and where he's lining up on the field. So, for the Raiders and there's no question from the second they got him, this guy's a starter and doesn't even want to be called a rookie. He brings something to the table. He doesn't even want to be called a rookie, and the reason he doesn't want to be called a rookie is because he's playing his first year.
Oh, well, that's
you called me a first-year starter.
That's good to know. Speaking of rookies, who do you think is going to be rookie of the year, John?
That's hard. That is hard to tell, and I think it's going to matter on what we see happen as far as some of these rookies actually starting because of injury or whatever, because there's several rookies that I believe have talent. We talked it about with the Redskins and the Hassan and things like that, is that we don't know what we're going to get to see out of them based on if they're going to start or they're going to learn from the sideline. So I think I'll be ready to answer that when we edge near week 1 and through the season. I think we're definitely going to see early parts of the rookie shining, but I'm just putting it out there right now that Jonathan Abram as a defensive back coming up with interceptions for 6 is going to have an impact. And I'm just saying it. I'm putting that out there right now. That could be a name right there, right now. I'm not going with a Kyler Murray. I'm not going there. I honestly don't think he's going to have. I think he's going to have a humbling experience in the NFL if they don't utilize him right. This college football play script has never really transformed very good into the NFL, Joe.
Right. I agree. I do think Kyler Murray is probably going to have a humbling experience. I think he's going to have more of a learning experience. But I'm just going to go out there and say my rookie of the year. It's another Raider. It's Josh Jacobs. His volume is going to be incredible this year, and I think he's going to win rookie of the year, and that offense is going to look good with Antonio Brown.
I can't wait to see it. I think the Raiders are gearing up. John Gruden got criticized early on for obviously getting rid of Khalil Mack. But it's what he does with those picks he got to build an entire team. Not just have one great player. I think Mack is a game-changing player, though. But it's building more for I said it last year, the 2020 season is really what I think. Because could the Raiders be good enough for a playoff push? Second year with Gruden, some of these veterans are getting a little more used to Gruden. Gruden's a hardcore coach. He is a hardcore coach. I believe they're building for that 2020 welcome to Vegas. And you'll see a playoff team 2020 in the Raiders. That's my prediction.
Wow. That's bold, and you know what? I actually kind of agree. I actually kind of agree. If not
new stadium,
yep.
New location.
Yep. I definitely kind of agree. If not 2020, probably 2021.
Yeah, they're definitely have the picks there for them to get another couple first round picks next year. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's actually pretty awesome when you look at it like that. And who knows what they'll do with it? I guess a lot depends on what we're going to see from Mr. Derek Carr this year. I think Derek Carr is a great quarterback. I do. I think he's got great attitude. I think he's got a great arm. I think he just hasn't had the playoff caliber team around him. But go back to 2015 and tell me who Derek Carr was. Mm-hmm. Who did you think Derek Carr was in 2015?
He was looking like the MVP of the NFL. That's what he was looking like.
He was looking like that. Same guy, same number. Same guy, same number. Better coach.
Yep, better coach. Future. This is that. Look at the Browns, guys. They rebuilt, and now they're literally Super Bowl contenders or even playoff contenders. So that's what the Raiders are going to be.
I believe it wholeheartedly. I believe that's what we got to look forward to. In closing, Joe, for this segment here, in closing, anything in particular that you would like to talk about before we go into our closings?
Any closing that I want to talk about? Guys, all the New York fans, Daniel Jones is definitely the quarterback of the future, and that's what I want to end on.
When you say that, I'm not going to let you just walk from that. What I want to know is, does Jones get inserted into the game because he's a better quarterback than Eli Manning, or because of the pressure of the fans when Eli starts messing up? And what I would like to know is, does Daniel Jones get into the game because he's a better quarterback than Eli Manning at this point in Eli's career?
I can't say that, but the pressure is going to mount on that coaching staff and on Eli. And like I said last podcast, I believe midway through the season, Daniel Jones is going to get the start.
I think that some of these running backs have made some mistakes in my closing here. They followed suit where you've seen in Pittsburgh, okay, last year, in the contract situation where you had their star running back. Joe, you know what I'm talking about here.
I do.
Okay. total different contract situation. He did not he did not want to sign the franchise thing, free agent. You're getting some of these players now strong-arming teams. Strong-armed robbery. They're under contract this year, but they're looking to have a restructured contract while they're still under that contract. And guess what? The team does not have to do that. The team doesn't. They're going to be talking and thinking about the players that are there. So, when I see Zeke and what he's doing, and quite easily contrast to that of Dak Prescott, same situation. But the big difference is what is Dak Prescott doing, Joe?
Look, Dak Prescott's pretty much, just handing the ball off to Zeke, pretty much.
But I mean, as far as a contract thing, he wants a contract, right? And he's under contract negotiations. But there's a major difference between Dak and with Zeke, and I think it's going to be a big difference when the outcome of the money comes. The difference of what Dak's actually doing.
Yeah, I mean, Dak, he's turning down $30 million a year, and does he deserve more than that? I don't believe he does, to be honest.
But he's there.
He is there.
He's taking the snaps in practice. He's there with the team. He's there in the preseason games. He's there.
He is there. And you know who's not there? Ezekiel Elliott.
He's not. And when he's not there, I'm just waiting for the next report to come out and the next little bit of trouble he gets into. I mean, to me, I seriously think that way. If you want a contract, show me who you are. You got to show me who you are. What are you willing to do for this money? Are you a teammate? Are you worthy of it? You're under contract right now, and you're about ready to see some extremely high money come out of your pocket.
Right, I completely agree. If Zeke comes back, then he comes back. If he doesn't, I don't think the Cowboys are hurt that much, to be honest.
And you're giving someone else an opportunity. We seen it in Pittsburgh last year. And now we're going to see a different running back in Pittsburgh who's going to do great. We don't know what's going to happen on the Jets, but we know what's going to happen in Pittsburgh because we got to see a new quarterback get an opportunity, take full advantage of it. You're going to see the same thing in Dallas.
I completely agree. James Conner almost rushed for 1,000 yards, and I think the next up for Dallas, we're going to see that too.
And what about the Jets?
The Jets, Le'Veon Bell, definitely rushes for over 1,000 yards, gets a ton of volume. Going to be Le'Veon Bell that he was in Pittsburgh. Maybe even better.
He had a year off.
And I think that's good, to be honest. I think that's great.
Yeah. I think one of the most patient running backs in the NFL, Le'Veon Bell. His contract situation was much different than that of Zeke, that of Dak, anybody holding out. His contract situation gave him leverage. Okay? Big difference because they wanted to franchise tag him, and his contract was up, and they were trying to get him to sign the franchise tag, and he refused to. So he lost $14 million last year and ended up losing a little bit more money. He did. He lost a little bit of money, but he's, I guess, looking at the longevity of his career.
Yep, definitely is.
So anyway, guys, in closing, this is our preseason as well as it is. Our producer is not in the studio during our preseason games. I think on the fourth preseason game, we're fully up and running with the producers and everybody else. And the mistakes that I'm making and all the flaws you see me doing will disappear week one. Our preseason is no different than that of the NFL. Be patient with us. Don't forget, guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, I don't care if you've archived it, whatever you did, hit the subscribe button. Hit the damn subscribe button, okay? Subscribe. Because there's going to be a lot of good things throughout this season coming, and we're going to start throwing some fantasy things at you as well. Joe, are you up for some fantasy football?
I can't wait for fantasy, guys. Honestly, I'll keep you updated on how I do in the league, and I'll definitely give you some great advice who to pick up.
And that's something we're adding to this, and you'll see a little bit of that coming up here in the next couple preseason ones as well. So keep your eyes peeled, subscribe to the YouTube, You're going to be able to find us on Facebook. You're going to be able to go. Remember what I told you. You can go to the leapalive.com. If you want to be part of the show, you're going to leapalive.com/register. You're going to go right to the landing page to register. Once you register, it's going to kick the phone number to you where you can call during the live show. And we don't screen you. We don't screen you. You go ahead and trying to talk about something else that's not football related, I might give you a swift boot, and I'm not talking about any boot. I'm talking steel-toe boot. I might give you the boot. I'm not going to screen you. I trust you. You want to be part of that show, live show on the call-in line, you go to leapalive.com/register. You see it right below here. You're going to register. Right when you register, the email will come to you with the number for the show. Keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind. Joe, been another good one. Any of your last thoughts, Joe, before I see you next week?
No last thoughts, but guys, I can't wait for fantasy. Can't wait for the NFL season. Let's get it started.
Awesome, guys. Next week, the Sunday show, get ready. We're narrowing it down. The teams are going to be narrowed down. So that's something to pay attention to, because we're going to be starting to narrow that roster down and getting closer and closer to that 52-man team. So everybody, pay attention. We will see you guys at the next Sunday preseason show from Sports Static. John and Joe, we will see you guys next week.